Purple Line is a community podcast bringing you in-depth conversations with diverse leaders in the public and private sectors. Whether you're a student looking to gather advice or a professional tuning in for valuable resources, our dynamic programming provides inspiration and insights for all ages and backgrounds. I'm Marianne Gomez-Horta, your host of the Purple Line podcast and the CEO of the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. Welcome. All right, Ivelisse, thank you so much for joining us here on the Chili Purple Line podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just a little bit of a background for everybody. You're the Senior Vice President of a major lobbying firm in Washington, D.C. called Crossroads Strategies, and also the President of the Hispanic Lobbyists Association, which is how I think we've got a chance to get to know each other, and you've been so helpful and supportive with our interns. So we wanted to take the time and get the HLA president to join us and hear a little bit about your story. And I wanted to just start with, if you could just share a little bit about like your story from Peru to Washington, D.C. I know that's kind of a long journey, but if you can share a little bit of like why you decided to move to the United States. Yeah. And let's start with that.
So I moved for better opportunities, better education, better job, better salary. I grew up seeing my parents struggle a lot, and my parents come from extreme poverty in Peru, both of them. And they were two of the outliers, I think, that were able to get to be middle class. And even though they were the first ones in their family to get a bachelor's degree and a good job and everything, it was when my dad lost his job after working for a bank for 25 years.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, and in Peru, back then, he was, I think, in his late 40s, and that is ancient. Like, the job market in Peru was so tough, and he couldn't get a job. And then my mom had a small business, so it was very heartbreaking to see my dad go through that. And even though the small business was helping sustain the whole family, I saw my mom get loans and sacrifice a lot and count cents to make a living. And it was really hard, and we were very limited in our resources too. So just seeing that, I just really wanted something better. And those two have sacrificed so much for me, and they have always raised me with a sense of you can do anything that you want in life.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So I'm the eldest of five, and grew up in a farm worker camp. And it's just amazing to me sometimes when I think about my dad leaving Mexico, going to the United States for work.
Yeah.
And just knowing that there was another opportunity, or we're going to take a chance just for the opportunity that we hear other people have.
Yeah.
And then now they're like the wisest old people, right? Like they are like, they don't have the formal education, or they don't have a certain level of education here in the U.S., but they're just so smart and so wise because of what the struggles that what they've learned from the struggles.
Yes,
it's just
absolutely.
kind of amazing.
I think their struggles are the thing that keep me going. And my grandparents' struggles too. My grandpa on my mom's side was a leader of a labor union.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For workers that worked at the Sheraton Hotel.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And my grandma was a dressmaker and also a teacher. They were able to work really hard, and those values were passed down to me. And I knew that if I came to the United States and if I worked really, really hard, I was going to, use the opportunities that were open to me and make something for myself and my family.
That's awesome. So did you start college? I think you started college in Peru, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that experience, and then how old were you when you moved to the U.S.?
So I was 19 when I first came to the United States, because I was on a student visa, and initially I wasn't even supposed to be here. I was just coming to visit my dad and to take some English classes. So I went back to Peru to process my student visa for the English classes, and then I extended it into an exchange program, and then I extended it into another exchange program.
I love it.
Another semester.
Another little extension, another opportunity. I love it.
And then my mom calls me and tells me I'm pregnant with twins.
Woo!
And so change, like there's going to be changes there. So I talked to my dad and I talked to my stepmom, who were very kind, and they said, we don't have, they lived in a trailer park. So I was staying in the couch of their living room in a trailer park. And they said, we don't have much to offer you, but we can help you process the paperwork for the green card if you really want it. And I thought about it because I had my 2 bags, that they allow you on the plane. I thought about it. I remember leaving the trailer park and just thinking and looking at the stars, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And I decided, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to file the paperwork, and I tell them, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then my dad says, okay, but we don't have money for a lawyer. So I was very delusional, and I started filling out the paperwork by myself. And I had heard, this was during the Obama administration, I had heard that if you take your paperwork to a USCIS officer, they can review it to make sure that it's all good.
Oh, that everything is complete.
Yeah, so I took it, and it was a lot of Google Translator, and I was like, it's really hard. And I had to keep up with my, academics as well. And it was a huge responsibility, but I thank God every day I was very blessed that everything went well. And
so where were you in school at the time?
It was like a freshman, and I think a year had passed.
Okay.
So by then I'm 20. And I got my green card right before hitting 21 because I was running against time because of the child law that you need to be underage. And yeah, that's how it happened. And then I ended up coming here, and then I lived in the trailer park, sleeping in the couch of my living room that they very generously provided for me. And it was like eye-opening experience because I was exposed to a lot of like low-income people in the United States, a lot of people that Hollywood doesn't show you necessarily. I was exposed to veterans, people that relied on SNAP benefits, people that were undocumented, and just seeing the human face of what disadvantage looks like here in a first world country.
Yeah, because you have a different perspective when you're in Peru or Mexico, Costa Rica, wherever you are from. It's always like, oh, the United States is the country of opportunity. And it is. Yeah. But there's also poverty. There's also different levels of education. There's different access for some people, maybe not as easy access for others. So there's a lot of different layers of this. So when you look now at that experience, I mean, you speak about it in a very loving and caring and at the same time vulnerable. When you start thinking about that and where you are now, how do you talk to yourself and like, damn, I did it. Like, you have to be like super proud of yourself.
Sometimes people ask me, can you believe this happened? Because it's not every day that you meet an immigrant who basically immigrated by herself, and my parents didn't bring me. I wasn't the product of my circumstances. I chose to come here, and I wasn't born here, so I chose. It was my decision, and to come at the age of 21, not knowing the language and starting from scratch, and I was given the gift of starting a new life at such a young age, and to be able to be here because that happened in 2011, and it's like 2026.
Yeah,
so in a short amount of time,
it's a short time
to be where I am. People tell me, "Can you believe you did it?" And I say, "Yes, I was there." I was there, and I know all the tears and all the sweat and all the hard work and the sleepless nights and all the Red Bulls and the international calls calling my mom, "Why am I here? What am I doing?" Only I know that, and I try to honor that part of me, and at the same time remind myself that it's about the journey. And one of my weaknesses is I accomplish something and then I'm already thinking, what's next? What's going to be the next step? What's going to be the next goal? Because I haven't come from Peru, leaving my family behind, my culture behind, my people behind, my food behind.
There's always that food, yes.
Yeah, and my parents haven't sacrificed so much in me that, I need to honor that. I need to honor that version of myself and honor my grandparents' sacrifices and my parents' sacrifices. So
it's a lot. And at the same time, it's providing you now with all of these other lessons, right, that you can pass on to others. So, if there's a a young woman, a young man listening, and in that moment right now, they're still in that process of thinking of moving, or they just moved here, or they're in school, they're not sure if they're going to go back to their home country. What's your advice to them?
I think it's important to have a lot of confidence, but confidence doesn't come easy because you're living in a country where people look at you and tell you you're a minority. Mm-hmm. And that word in itself, it's charged with so much power, telling people you are less than, you're minority, you're and smaller than what they are. And I think that being born in the United States with citizenship has a lot of power. It carries so much power and so much privilege. And I worked really hard to earn the privilege of my citizenship. Yeah. And I just try to use as much, like all of my power and my brain and my 2 hands and my 2 feet to work really hard for every opportunity I've, try to conquer. And I think thinking through those terms, thinking through the terms of acknowledge your privilege, and from there, try to use those tools to advance to the next step. One of the books that I love is the biography of Sonia Sotomayor, and she inspired me. She's the reason why I am in politics. And when I read her autobiography, I was living in a trailer park with my dad in Banning back then, and I was a fresh immigrant, and she inspired me so much. And one of the things that she said is, as you continue to grow in this country, don't isolate yourself. Find comfort in your Hispanic community, but don't isolate yourself.
Yes.
Build bridges instead of walls. Expand yourself to other communities. So I think it's a superpower that we are who we are. We're bilingual. Many of us are, we bring different cultural awarenesses. We don't forget who you are, and don't forget that is also very powerful.
It is a superpower. Being able to, and to your point, it doesn't matter if people call us a minority or what they say. We know that it's a superpower in the bicultural, the bilingual, and also having that sense of resilience, the grit. There's different layers of the survival, right? Like when you first get here, if you're an immigrant, everything is a survival. Everything is everything is like new. You don't even know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. Somebody says something that is a different slang or whatever that might be, right? And so what's a slang here on the East Coast may not be the same thing on the West Coast, and so you have all of the dynamics that go along with that. But I love the part about the confidence. In terms of the confidence and like the self-awareness, what do you think when you're working with like younger staff or even interns? What do you see in them that's kind of getting them further ahead? Or maybe something that they're not doing as much that we need to share with others and say, you kind of have to dial up a little bit on this self-awareness or dial up a little bit of this other piece. What would be your suggestions, your recommendations?
I think it's find your support system and find a mentor and even if you don't have those resources, find a stepping stone. It's easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, and it's really hard. I don't want to come here and tell people you just need to work harder because it's just really hard for many different people, right? Whenever I tell my story, I am always very cognizant of all the privileges I had and that I continue to have. And it's just very hard. To the interns and to the younger generation, I think it's resilience. It's the ability of picking yourself back up, because if you don't pick yourself back up, who is going to pick yourself back up?
Right.
I read a statistic about mental health in Hispanics and how about 30-something% of Hispanic adults suffer from a mental illness in the United States. And I'm sure that there's some underreporting to that,
oh,
right?
Sure, yes.
And it's just so hard, and especially for younger generations, it's very easy to find safe space and validate your feelings and all of those things, which are good. You need to do that. But once you become an adult, you can no longer be a victim of your childhood, of your parents.
Right.
You can no longer be a victim of the circumstances that surround you. You need to take ownership over your own life and say, where do I want to go from here?
Yeah, and there's opportunities that as you grow up, and depending on what you're involved in, to your point, your community, your tribe, your family, whatever, that closeness is, because the social part is important, and those social connections are important for overall well-being as well. But there comes a time when no matter how many people mentor you or help you, at the end of the day, it's still you.
Yes.
You have to have that. Okay, I'm gonna be 1% better today, and
Right.
every day a little better and better, and
Right.
and hopefully along the way also help other people, because I think that's when, I tell people that you really learn something when it's your turn to teach it to someone else, because then you really figure out like, oh, I need to learn this area actually a little bit better before I teach it and pass it on to someone else, and so there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
Switching back a little bit to your academics, where did you go to college when you came to the United States, and what are your degrees in?
So I have a degree in political science from UCLA, and I didn't get my degree from law school in Lima because my studies were interrupted when I came to the
But you
US.
have like a couple of years already of law school.
I had a
under-
couple of years in law school, yeah.
Okay. That's hard too. Like leaving the law school that you already had and then starting over.
It was tough because none of my credits transferred, and I
None
thought,
of them at all.
No,
Wow. So you had to start all over from
I
scratch.
had to start all over.
Oh, okay. So now, political science,
Mm-hmm.
UCLA, and so how do we get to Washington, D.C.? I mean,
I
I
love
kind of
that
figured
story.
a poli-sci person maybe makes it to D.C. at some point, but how did you get here?
I like that story because it shows what I was trying to say earlier with the younger generations. Like, my mom tells me this. I'll tell the story and then I'll tell what my mom told me.
Okay.
So I wanted to go to UCLA because I saw the study in Washington, D.C. program. And being political science, I thought, okay, that's where I need to go. That's where Sonia Sotomayor is.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay.
So I need to go there and practice what I'm in school for. So I applied to this program and I get waitlisted. And
This is while you're at UCLA?
While I was
okay.
at UCLA.
All right.
And I was devastated. I come back and I call my mom crying. And she tells me, like, está bien llorar, pero una vez que lloras, levántate y vuélvelo a intentar.
Yeah. So it's good to cry, but once you
Yes.
finish crying, you got to get back up and move forward.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so her words gave me the strength to go to the office of the Washington, D.C. program. And I talked to the advisor and I talked to the director of the program. And I said, listen, I know I was waitlisted. This is a very competitive program, so chances are I'm going to be denied. But I just want to know what feedback you have for me.
I love that.
So that I can become a more competitive candidate
That's awesome.
next term, because I'm applying again. And
you will see me again.
Yes. No, I've been I'm very intense.
Yeah.
With my, with my academics. So they sat down with me and they said, look, we were looking for this, and in your responses you didn't have this, but here's how you can, improve it and all of those things. So I said, okay, thank you so much. It was like an hour-long conversation with them. And then as I'm walking from the office back to my dorm, I get a call, and it's the advisor telling me somebody just dropped out of the program.
Oh.
But the director
Wow.
was so impressed with your willingness to show that you really want to do this, that we're going to bump you up to the list. Do you want the spot?
Ooh. Wow, I love that.
And I
love
said,
that.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I almost didn't even come.
Like, do you want me to turn around and go back to the office now? What do I need to sign or anything else, right?
And it goes back to my mom's words. It's like, okay, what are you going to... This is a setback.
Right.
What can I learn?
Yeah.
How can I improve? And that's why I'm constantly getting feedback, and I appreciate it when people give me feedback, because that's how I've been able to improve my English, for example. When people correct me in my accent and I say something that doesn't make sense, or when I'm not doing a great job and then my supervisor tells me, hey, by the way, here's how you can improve. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, not a
Because-
lot of people
yeah.
appreciate. I mean, we always say that feedback is a gift, but not everybody likes receiving that gift.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a nuance with that, but I love that story. So you're now in the program,
Yes.
and is it in the summer? What time of the year is it when you're here in Washington?
I was here in the winter, January through March.
Okay, winter coat. That's not the same kind of cold
It
as in
was my
Southern
first
California.
time in snow.
It was the first time in snow? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And it was during the blizzard, the 2016 blizzard.
Okay, I remember that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's crazy. So when you were here, who did you intern? Did they have a specific office that you worked or
Yes.
interned the whole time?
Senator Barbara Boxer.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so tell us a little bit about that experience.
It was a great experience. I was a legislative intern, and I proved myself. I've always had to prove myself here in the United States to professors, just because of my accent. Sometimes I may
Right.
sound like I'm not worth the investment, but so proving myself has been just like the theme of my life. I knew I had to prove myself with the supervisor, with the internship coordinator. So whatever task they gave me, I try to excel. We met up with the chief of staff, and the chief of staff also gave us, the interns, the greatest piece of advice that I've received in my time here in Washington, which is, it doesn't matter if they give you mundane task. If you are being told get a cup of coffee, give
Yeah.
them the best cup of coffee.
Right.
If they tell you get me a copy, you give them the best, the fastest, the most reliable photocopy they've ever
Right.
received. And that's what I did in the senator's office. Well, I didn't get coffee or made copies, but every single memo or every single task, I had mid-term, like in the middle of the internship program, I had a talk with my supervisor. He was a checking. And I told him, listen, I am a senior and I'm going to be graduated in May. And I need more substantial projects because I really want to stay here in DC.
Oh, good for you.
So
Good for
could you give me more substantial
Yeah.
stuff? And they paired me with a couple of the legislative assistants, and I was making memos on policy and things, and they sent me to a few hearings to cover them in person.
I love
And-
that. The importance of just
Yes.
raising your hand. I mean, first of all, you did the work that
Yeah.
you were asked to do.
Yeah.
You didn't like jump ahead, because sometimes some people or some interns are like, I'm gonna be the chief of staff, and no matter what time, I'm like, you're kind of missing some steps here. Let's make sure. But to actually do the work,
Yeah.
do it very well,
Yeah.
and then you asked for some additional work, and then you still continued at that high level in doing that work. That's awesome. That's a great story and a great example to share with others. So you graduated, so you finished the internship, went back to UCLA,
Yes.
graduated, and so did you have another internship or an opportunity there, and then how'd you get back here?
No, I was applying to different jobs, and I was going through a period of my life where I didn't know where to go. But I knew I wanted to go back to Washington.
Okay.
I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And one day I have this habit of, or in college, I had this habit of going to talk to the adults, and that's the advisor or like the professors. And I was taking a constitutional law class, and the professor that was teaching the class, Cynthia Lebo, she had been the general counsel for President Biden when he was a senator here in Washington. And she shared so many great experiences, and I really wanted to do similar work that what she had done. And then I go back to stay in touch with the advisor from the
good.
Washington
Yeah.
and DC program in my free time. And I was looking for a job, and I was like, I want to be a lawyer, but not yet because I need to support my family. But I really want to go to Washington, so what do I do? And I applied to different jobs. I got denied from some, and then I get flagged this very great job as a staff assistant in the Los Angeles office of Senator Barbara Boxer. And I went.
So the
full-
office that you were interning here, they didn't tell you about it? They
No.
didn't know about it at the time or whatever? So
I
you found out on your own?
Don't know if they knew about it or not.
Wow,
I found out
okay.
on my
On
own
your own,
because the advisor for the Washington and DC program flagged it for me.
Oh, okay, cool. Very
So
good.
I called my supervisor the internship supervisor here in Washington, D.C. And I said, do you think I have a chance? Could you flag my resume? He was very excited. He said, yes, of course. I'll be happy to provide you with a recommendation. And I applied, and I went full court press. I submitted all my recommendations.
I love it. Of course, Ivelisse. It had to be an A+ packet. I love it. I did it. I love it.
I talked to a couple of other people from the senator's office here in D.C. that knew my work, and I said, here's what I'm doing. I would love to be a part of Team Boxer again. They called it Boxerland.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then I went for my interview, and I got the job. I was very happy. So I graduated on a Sunday. I walked on a Sunday, and on a Monday I had to show up at 8 a.m. to open up the office.
Oh, I love that. We've had that a couple times with some interns who intern here, they go back to graduate, then they have to come back after graduation to start on the Hill. It's scary and exciting all at the same time. It's a lot to be in that. So I have to just share this with you because it's so funny about Senator Boxer. So my dad became a naturalized citizen, and I don't even remember what year, but they have all those questions, right, on the citizenship interview, and one of the questions was to name a senator. And he knew Senator Boxer because we would do all of these little tricks with him, and we'd be like, "Dad, remember, she's the boxer. She's the boxer." So when they get to that point,
Right.
it's just like all this memory, memories about that. So that was one of the tough questions for him, and so that's how he passed his citizenship test, was because he remembered Senator Boxer.
That's awesome, Boxer.
That's just, hey, you have to figure out how to teach people who
Yes.
don't understand English or have limited English.
And
so
she
my
was a
dad-
metaphorical boxer.
Yeah, she was. She was a force. Tell us a little bit about, because I was reading a little bit about your background as well, and I understand that when you were working, because now you did the internship, and then you got the job, but then you also had an opportunity now to move to Washington. But when you moved to Washington, you didn't work for Boxer anymore, right? So what office were you working for at the time when you came back?
I worked for Congressman Raul Ruiz.
Okay. Dr. Ruiz.
Dr. Ruiz.
I love that. And I think Congress's title is a higher title than doctor, right? Is that how it goes? I still call him Dr.
Congressman
Ruiz.
Dr. Raul
Yeah,
Ruiz,
exactly.
I think.
Exactly. So I understand that you've had some interesting experiences or legislation that you've worked on with the congressman. So
Yeah.
share with us one of those stories or one of those interesting connections that you made during your time in that office.
So one of the pieces of legislation that I helped advance during my time with Dr. Ruiz was a PACT Act, and it was the beginning of the PACT Act. The PACT Act is the largest piece of legislation that gives veterans exposed to different toxic substances, including burn pits, healthcare and disability compensation. And I was in charge of finding a legislative fix because Congressman Ruiz had a constituent pass as a result of her toxic exposures when she served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
I want to say, I can't remember exactly the place. And so it was very hard because a lot of people could not understand that the military used burn pits to burn their trash, and they burned everything and anything. And it was our service members who were in charge of handling those burn pits.
Oh, wow.
And so I tried to find a legislative solution, and I remember going to different committee rooms and talk to different people in Congress, and I sounded like crazy because it sounds very conspiracy theory.
It does. It does have a little.
Yeah, and tons of veterans were passing from different diseases after their exposure to burn pits after their service. And I hear that Jon Stewart is having a meeting to talk about veterans' health on the Senate side. And so I attend the meeting. It was with different veteran advocates and different veteran legislative aides.
Yeah.
And so I attend, and I remember after the meeting, I went up to him and I said, my name is, Ivelisse, and I work for Congressman Raul Ruiz. We really care about this issue. My boss really cares about this issue. I would love it if you could connect with him, and, help us, push this issue forward. And he said, yes, here's my email.
Wow.
And my phone number. So let me know how we can arrange this.
Wow.
I said, great, thank you so much. I went back to my office and I said, oh, I met with Jon Stewart today, and
like,
he
no
gave
big
me
deal.
his-
We happened to be in the same meeting.
Yeah, it
just
was
had a
like-
conversation.
He wants
Yeah.
to support veterans, and I think we can get him on board
Yeah.
with, the boss's priorities on burn pits, and I think we can make this work. My whole office is like, Jon Stewart?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, like, what do you mean? Do you know who he is? I'm like, I know he's a comedian, but
Right.
he's not like Don Francisco or anything. Like, what's the big deal?
I
I was
it.
just like, what's the
Yeah,
big deal?
exactly.
And he was like,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
it's one of the things that have happened in my life, that because I'm an immigrant, I have to catch up with American
Oh, trust me.
culture.
I
all
don't
the
think I
time.
still have caught up. My husband reminds me. It takes a
And-
while. It takes a
yeah,
while.
they're
I'm
like,
with you.
I can't be expected to know every single
Yeah.
American. Like,
Exactly. Every pop culture thing is too much. So did you get to meet him again, and did he
Yeah,
come
yeah,
and
he-
testify, or what happened?
yes, he joined the fight, and I think he was very, very helpful in supporting the legislation. During the pandemic, we spent a lot of time on Zoom calls with him. It
Wow.
was a few of the veteran advocates and other veteran legislative aides negotiating the text, and it was very surreal to me to hop on the phone and say, I'm sorry, I need to
Right.
go on a Zoom call with Jon
Jon
Stewart
Stewart.
to talk about this bill.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. The bill passed.
Bill passed.
And I'm just kind of curious, has Jon Stewart always been involved in veterans issues? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't follow him as much as other people do, but I didn't realize that he was very much
Yeah.
into veterans affairs.
Yeah, he's very altruistic and very passionate about helping others, and he was involved in the 9/11 first responders
Oh, that's
compensation.
right. Yeah, that's
fight,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Want to switch gears a little bit. Have you met Justice Sonia Sotomayor yet?
I met her one time at a book
Yay!
signing, and I saw her when I came to DC. I braced like 30 Fahrenheit weather, waiting outside of the Supreme Court, camping from 4 a.m.
Oh my
just so
goodness.
that I can go and attend a hearing. And I saw, Justice Scalia and, all the big nine, and one of them was Sonia Sotomayor, and it was surreal. And
That's
then
cool.
when I was in Congress, I saw that she had a book signing. It was a kid's book.
Yeah, I think she's got a second book out now, doesn't she?
I think so.
Yeah, I think she's written another one too.
And she's written several.
Yeah.
And so I went, and you couldn't take pictures. That was a policy.
Oh,
So I don't have any pictures with her.
not yet.
Not yet.
Ivelisse?
Not yet.
Ivelisse, you're a strong, determined woman. That's not yet.
Not yet.
We will get that photo. I know we will.
And I just poured myself out to her in that moment. And I said, I just hope you know that, I work for Congress and I work on the Senate side, and I'm an immigrant from Peru, and you inspired me, because she was someone that had overcome similar challenges than me. Someone who, Southern California, the Hispanic population is predominantly Mexican and Central American. And she was someone from outside those communities. And I saw myself a lot in her, and someone that was put in a position of leadership, taking care of her little brother, just like me, and whose first language was not English. Her first language was Spanish, and she loved salsa, and she just was determined to make her dreams come true. And I told her that, and I started crying, and I don't think she understood.
Did she
half
give
of
you a
what she
hug? She's
said.
a big hugger too.
I
love
think
that
so.
about- I love that
think
about her,
so.
too.
It's a blur
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I was so happy in that moment,
Yeah.
and then I felt so embarrassed, and I said, "Oh, I just bawled my eyes out in front of Justice."
That's fine. That's fine. I think a lot of us have done some of that too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Kind of wrapping it up a little bit. Wanted to kind of highlight again what I shared in the very beginning, that you're the president of the Hispanic Lobbyists Association. So share with the audience what the association does, what type of advocacy, or how you help each other. Tell them a little bit about the organization.
So we are a trade association formed by Hispanic individuals in government relations and public affairs. We have doubled our numbers in the last 2 years. We are over 300 members now.
Oh, great.
And what we do is advance and empower the Hispanic community in those fields, because they're very competitive. They are not as diverse as we would like them to be. So we give them tools such as cafecitos with members of Congress, panels, policy panels, and we expose them to different trainings, like an ethics training, or how to power your LinkedIn, how resume reviews. We have a job board.
So it's a combination of the networking plus also some technical skills.
Yes.
What is the age range of the lobbyists in town now? Because I think I'm seeing more younger people too now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Or maybe I'm just here been a little too long. Maybe it's a combination.
But it's a result of the legacy of older individuals and more like seasoned, professionals who have forged that path, so that there's a lot more like younger.
That's good.
Hispanic people in the field, people like you, and it's amazing the work that you have done through the years. And so now there's more of us, right? Like now we see a lot of younger people because of that work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the ranges are, I think the youngest are 25, 26.
Out of
and
college.
Then the oldest is probably in their 60s.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. So kind of to wrap up a little bit here, because we're a leadership development organization, and as you know, we have interns. Thank you again for supporting the interns. I think we have an intern in your office this semester. So what was your favorite class in college? So it could be here or it could be from Peru, but what was your favorite class and why?
Constitutional law.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That same professor.
Yes, same professor,
okay.
yes. Same
All right.
Talibo.
What was it about that class you liked?
She was fearless, and she was very tough, and it was really hard to get an A in that class. She assigned a lot of reading. She was ruthless in her grading. And she was famously one of the toughest classes in the political science department, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the selfish pleasure of saying I got an A in her class.
In class, yeah.
What I didn't know is that in the process, I found a great mentor and friend in her. And I would come to talk to her about her life journey, and it was very inspiring, everything that she had done as a woman.
Yeah, I think some people forget just how much invested professors really are in students, and if you're doing well, like they really like to hear where you are and how they can help. And I too stayed in touch with one of my favorite professors and had a chance at an opportunity through an alumni association event, actually be one of the ones that presented her with an award. So that was just, and I didn't think about it in the beginning, but when you kind of in that desperate point when you're graduating from college, you're like, you're gonna talk to all the professors, right, and get feedback from them. But a constitutional law is not one that I thought, but I love it. So thank you again, Ivelisse. I just want to say, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? Any other words of wisdom for young lobbyists, maybe navigating their way in Washington?
Young lobbyists, try again. Keep trying and keep trying, and again and again and again. This town is going to tell you that you don't belong. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. You belong. And keep trying and pick yourself back up every time, and be ready to receive some punches and be ready to punch back, and be ready to learn and take the feedback and work on having a thick skin. And it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to struggle, and it's okay to just pursue happiness, right? It's in the Declaration of Independence. We have that right to pursue happiness, to pursue that self-fulfillment, and just keep going.
All right. I love it. So thank you again, Ivelisse, for joining us on the Chile Purple Line podcast. And very blessed. And I love that what you're doing at the Hispanic Lobbyists Association. And on a personal note, congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you.
Felicidades.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to The Purple Line. Follow us on social media at The Chile at THECHLI. Thank you for joining us on The Purple Line.